Hi and welcome to another Search Engine Marketing Melbourne training video. In this video we're going to be talking about and looking at keyword research and analysing the keywords and specific phrases that you need to be using online to get your business better positioned and to outstrip or dominate your competition. So the first thing we do is go to a Google search. One of the first things we just need to type in is keyword research tool, and you'll see a number of options come up, but you'll see at the top, more often than not, because this is a Google tool and it's the best one to use, is the Google keyword tool, and this is part of the AdWords campaign. Now you'll notice that we're signed in to our Gmail account, and this will give you a greater versatility in terms of the search results. And if you're not signed in or you don't have a Gmail account, it will often limit the options in terms of the search returns, or you may have to have a bit more of these capture infills as well, just to prove that you're not an automated bot or machine of some description. So first thing we need to do here is we first need to identify in this section here our keyword or phrase. So in this instance we'll use Melbourne as a general phrase. These advanced options, we need to get rid of the US. We'll go to advanced filter options and we scroll down and we go to Australia, because we just want to look at specific Australia searches. Now you can remove desktop, laptop devices, monthly searches, all those sorts of things. You do have some options here to tailor make it, but it's better if you just leave it in the first couple of sessions. So then we'll put in the screen capture, which is always a pain, nobody does it well, and the results are often intermittent. So we then get a search return. So what we now start to find here is all of the top searches performed for Melbourne specifically. So we can see Melbourne as a search term. There's approximately 20 million searches per month globally, and about 16 million of those originate from within Australia. That's why we put the caveat around our specific search terms. So then as we start to scroll down, you'll see keywords, and there's 100 keywords in this particular result. Down here on the right hand side is where you can navigate, but this is the first 50 search terms that are being returned. So as a result, what we'll see is the top yield searches, those things that generate the most results or the highest volumes, as well as a competition comparison to show specifically where our competition is best placed, or where our competitors are the strongest in their particular areas. The higher the green bar here, the greater the competition, in accordance with this general search term. We'll get into that a little bit more later on, but you can start to get a sense now. Melbourne tourism, for example, has middle of the range competition, approximately 12,000 global searches and 6,000 monthly local searches. So that means searches just within Australia. Now Melbourne University, for example, there's very little competition. There's nearly 500,000 global searches and 368,000 searches on a monthly basis. So this gives us a bit of a sense of the top yielding searches. So if we click on global searches, for example, we can now have in order of volume. So weather in Melbourne, Melbourne University, Melbourne Australia, Melbourne accommodation, Melbourne hotel. All these things are the highest yield search terms, both locally as well as that is within Australia, and also globally. So you can see here these are an approximate average of the last 12 months to give you these particular search terms. Now here's the trick. Here's the thing that you need to be very wary of when you use this particular search, these processes. Over here on the left hand side you'll see match types. Now match types will give you the option for broad searches, exact, or phrase. So broad basically returns anything with Melbourne in that particular search. Exact is specifically that phrase and that phrase only, excluding everything else, or that word only. And then a phrase, so again it looks for that string of and that exact sequence of strings in that particular sentence when it brings you back the results. So this can have a marked difference on your results. So if we check both of those boxes to begin with, we'll then see the results in terms of how they vary. So when we now start to look at it Melbourne as a broad phrase and Melbourne as an exact, because we've only used 2 words, for example, brings back pretty much the same results. However, when we go to Melbourne specifically, we can see the results are significantly different. That is, in terms of all searches including Melbourne, there's 20 million odd, whereas those with just Melbourne, nothing else, is less than 250,000. And whilst that's quite sizable, you can see there's a difference in both the competition, there's a difference in the search volume, and there's certainly a much greater difference in terms of the local searches. There's only 74,000 a month. So this is where you need to be very careful in terms of choosing your keyword, and your keyword's imperative when you're doing social media campaigns, when you're doing SEO. You need to determine exactly what and why you're using these particular words. Now, these words may not necessarily be what you're used to promoting. It's probably not your brand name, it's probably not your product name. It needs to be a more layman's or more generic phrase that are used by your customers, not by yourself. And this determines how you will then start campaigns and target capturing online traffic, because the difference between this approach and broadcasting is the more conventional use of television, newspapers, radio and so on, is that you're trying to communicate to the whole world. This is known as narrowcasting. So what we're doing here is we're already targeting a specific market, that is people who are expressly looking for our products, our services, our solutions, but they may not know about our brand, our products or our services. So we target those particular keywords. So as we can see here, there's sizable volume in lots of things related to Melbourne, but the results in terms of how they're measured specifically, that is general terms. All right, we'll go back to keywords. In general terms of how they're measured, and you'll see here the same results. So we've got in brackets, in parentheses here, we've got the exact. So yoga Melbourne, for example, is Googled 1,600 times globally and 1,300 times monthly in local searches. So we start to get a sense of the difference between yoga Melbourne. We've got 18,000, and that can be quite exciting. Local searches 14,000, but then when we actually drill down to the exact term, and we'll remove both of those now to have a look, the exact term for yoga Melbourne is only 1,600. Whilst that's still quite sizable, it's not the same as the original 18,000 that we were led to believe. Okay, so this is important that you understand the differences between both of these processes, because this is going to have a significant effect in terms of how it affects your search engine ratings. So using a comparison, if we go and we have a look in Google and we do a search and we look at yoga Melbourne, for example. So we've got yoga Melbourne. These are the results that we'll find that will come back. And again, this is a variation in search results that Google is known for, and you'll see quite regularly. The top of the page is going to be dominated either by organic searches, those that have got the best internet marketing strategies that get them found on the first page. Then increasingly you're going to find the new version of Google Maps or Google Places, and you'll see over here an overview of all of those locations, and you'll start to see here these listings. Now these listings, we'll talk about Google Places in a later session, but a lot of these places or these listings are unclaimed. So many people don't know how they got into this position, they don't know how they can stay there, and most importantly, most don't know how or why they can knock off the competition from being in that particular location. So as we scroll down, most of the top sections are Google Places locations, and then we start to get into the yoga results here. Now you'll see here it tells us we've got 8 million competitors. Okay, that is 8 million potential sites that compete for our relevant search terms. Now if we look at videos, for example, we've only got 690. So the competition in this particular instance, this is a good example of the difference between the general search and the video search, remembering that YouTube and Facebook are increasingly larger, as increasingly bigger search engines than Google themselves. That is, people are typing into YouTube and to Facebook these same terms, and they're getting much, much different results. Again, don't worry too much about this pay-per-click or this advertising here, nor up the side. Most people don't look at them, and the conversion rates for most people who are advertising here are usually quite poor in the first instance. So we're looking at the organic search. We'll go back to everything. Now we'll change the search term here and we'll go to an exact. So instead of yoga Melbourne in a broad phrase or a term, we'll now look specifically. okay, we can see our results much different now. So these are the people who are typing in Yoga Melbourne, just Yoga Melbourne, not anything else, you know, instead of yoga classes in Melbourne or Yoga Masters Melbourne or an extended search. This is just those who are looking for Yoga Melbourne. Now we can see instantly we've significantly culled our competition. So this particular niche and phrase here only has 23,000 competing websites, which is really quite small. Anything under about 50 to 100,000 competing sites is quite small, which is a good indication that it's quite a lucrative or an opportune area to target or go into for those wishing to dominate the top sections. So as we scroll down here, you'll see there's different results because we've not got any of these Google places, which again is proof that most of the organizations and companies that were registered in the previous screen don't actually have ownership of their Google Places site yet, and therefore they're missing out in terms of converting a number of this traffic. So this should give you an overview by comparison between a general search and a specific search. It's important, very important, that you understand how to find and utilize your keyword when doing your research. This is one of the fundamental pillars of determining how successful and how to go about your online marketing strategy. So in this session we've covered keyword research, in particular finding niche areas, finding the keywords that our customers are looking for. Hopefully this has been informative and this will help you with your business. If you want to visit us and get more information or more similar training videos along these lines to improve your Melbourne business, you can visit us at Search Engine Marketing Melbourne. You can find us on Twitter, SE Marketing Melbourne, or visit our channel at YouTube, SE Marketing Melbourne. You can find us on Facebook, our Facebook page, if you www.facebook.com/Search Engine Marketing Melbourne. Our website, of course, is www.search-engine-marketing-melbourne.com. Or you can give us a call if you want to have a discussion or you want to have a chat about how to improve or how to take over the competition online. Thanks very much, and hopefully you enjoyed this session as well. Thank you and goodbye.